Greetings, YouTube lovers and friends. It's been almost a month since my last update, and believe it or not, I'm not even at 50 views. So, I'm not even going to say subscribe and leave comments and all that anymore because it really doesn't do much good. If I was a 18 or 19-year-old girl, good looking, I'm sure I'd have 10,000 subscribers. But anyways, a lot's been going on. Some borderline, some not borderline, but in several videos I've talked about impulsivity, and you can't always relate impulsiveness to borderline personality disorder, even though it's listed as a trait. But it can be related to other things as well. And I pointed out in the past where relationships have fallen apart, and you go into this borderline state of mind where your anxiety is really high and your emotions are fluctuating from one minute being needy to the next minute being angry to the next minute trying to be understanding. And with me, I've done things like change my phone number only to give it back to the person shortly after. Done that on a few occasions. That always turns into a great big huge mess with the phone bill because I have to try to get that straightened out. I have spent money on psychics trying to get answers if the relationship would work out, and I've probably spent over $1,000, but less than $1,500 on psychics in those situations. And a lot of times it's you call one, you get their opinion, and then you call someone else, try to get their opinion, and just before you know it, you're spending over $1,000. Anyways, stuff like that is related to borderline personality disorder, and I know it is because it involves a interpersonal relationship with others. And lately, I've had some impulsivity, but that has absolutely nothing to do with borderline personality disorder. A lot of it just has to do with anxiety and depression and just trying to buy things to just to have some momentary happiness. And so I guess what's been going on with me lately is I don't have much going on in my life. As far as the YouTube channel goes, I do the videos, but they're becoming harder to do simply because I don't get the views that I want. I don't get the subscribers. I don't think I've had over 641 subscribers, and last time I just looked, it was down to around 638. So obviously the channel hasn't been too successful, so I view that as one failure. And then another thing that I had going for me was coaching, and that fell apart just because I got to the point where I loved working with the kids. They were great, and for a couple hours or a few hours out of the week I felt normal, because all my focus was on making the kids better at the sport they chose to play, and it just took all the just took all the focus off of my problems. And it was just nice to kind of be free of my issues for a while. And I'm no longer coaching now just because the politics of the club got to be too much. So there's a lot of shit coming from that direction, and then parents right at the beginning of the very first scrimmage, bitching and complaining about stupid stuff that really wasn't even relevant. And so you got bitching from that end. And I could have understanding for it if the person didn't know me, if the parent didn't know me that well, but the parent did know me, and they went off on me, and it really wasn't justified, and I didn't get an apology for it. And I spent the entire summer working with their son, because I knew he wanted to play a different position, and the whole point was that work with me, work with me. I'm part of the team during the summer. You listen, you hold your position. I'll give you an opportunity. He did just that, and I think his parents wanted him maybe to play a different position, but I had an agreement with their son, and he did exactly what I had asked him to do, and I wasn't going to go back on my word. Anyways, that turned into an issue, and that hurt because prior to that, had gotten along really well with his parents, and so it was basically getting shit from one end and getting shit from the other end, and I finally I had enough. There was no thanks, and in hindsight, I regret that a little bit. I wish I would have just said, I need to take a couple weeks off, but in the heat of the moment, I stopped and resigned. So I'm no longer coaching, so that's part of my life that's gone. And prior to 2012, there was a band that I helped out with their social media. And through this guy in the band, they had a few hits in the 70s, but through this guy in the band, I met other professional musicians and helped them out with their social media work. And in 2012, excuse me, and the thing I liked about this guy is he understood my major depression, and he didn't put pressure on me, and he got it. He if I wasn't able to do something, he didn't pressure me, but he was such a good guy, and he always stood by me, and I was very loyal to him, and he was loyal to me. And when people are like that, you want to help them. And so I got some sense of satisfaction, or I felt some sense of purpose helping him. And in 2012, he ended up committing suicide, and he had major depression too. And had you seen him out in public, you would have never known that. But I think a lot of us with major depression and mental illness, I think we're kind of like chameleons. What you see on the outside is different than how we really are. Basically because nobody wants to hear our problems, and it just gets old. It's hearing the same stuff from the same people, and so a lot of times we just end up keeping it to ourselves and so on. So anyways, he committed suicide in 2012, so that was a whole other aspect that was taken away from my life. And so now it's just kind of dwindling down to where I really have nothing. So I feel like a failure with coaching. I feel like a failure with the YouTube videos. I feel like a failure now that he's gone. I have no one to do the social media with. So basically I just been hibernating more, and nothing sounds good to eat except pizza. So been eating a lot of junk food and putting on weight, and so I have had some. I guess the other thing, that there was this actress that I really liked, and she's going to become I think a major breakout star come next year. She's got some pretty big movies coming up. And I didn't like her social media setup. I didn't like her website. I thought there was a lot of remedial errors with her website that, and I'm not the greatest person making websites and that, but I know enough. And her website wasn't good, her social media wasn't good, and I also, the sense that I got is she had a hard time finding the right balance between um, having a relationship with the fans and keeping that separate from her real life and family and all that type of stuff. And I think with the entertainment industry, I think social media is going to play more and more of a factor as time goes on. But anyways, when I saw that, I thought, well, maybe I'll offer my services, and maybe I can do something that would be good for her and make me feel good at the same time. And so sent off an email to her agent and never got a response from that, and sent off an email to someone else and never got a response from that. So there's another failure, or another door that's been kind of slammed in my face. So I impulsively, again, that got involved in calling psychics, and it didn't have anything to do with borderline personality, because I don't have a relationship with this person. I don't know this person. It just had to deal with anxiety of wondering if maybe it would go somewhere. It more or less had to deal with having major depression, having a lack of hope, and calling psychics in search of hope. But I didn't spend as much money on that. Probably a little bit over 100, but less than 200. And then I decided, well, I'm just going to do a website for the hell of it, and probably invested $200 in that. And then there was a photo editing program that I wanted, and spent some money on that, which I don't really know why I did that, because I had the previous version of it and I rarely used it. But I just wanted the new version to have it. So I have spent some money, but none of that had anything to do with borderline personality. So I guess the moral of the story of all this is, and why I'm trying to point out the differences between impulsivity, you have to look at what borderline personality disorder is. The disorder is interpersonal relationships and the instability of those relationships with others. That's what it is. And then the traits go to support that disorder or disability. And so you can't look at impulsivity and automatically assume that's borderline personality disorder, because with the examples I just gave, it could be related to anxiety or major depression. Could be related to other things. So you first have to look at what is borderline personality disorder. It's the emotional instability and that with relationships, and then you have to start looking at the traits to see if those apply to that disorder. So impulsivity could be related to borderline personality disorder, could be related to something else, could pertain to both depending on the circumstance. So I guess since my other last video update, I had had a falling out with my pastor of the church a couple years ago, and just basically didn't want anything to do with him, and said, and I told him that I didn't want anything to do with him because I found him to be very triggering, and he had done some things to me and had made a lot of assumptions about me when situations arose, and never got my side of the story. Just automatically assumed that, because I have mental illness, I'm the one in the wrong. And so rather than put myself in that situation over and over again, because he never apologized for it, must mean he wasn't sorry for it. And if he wasn't sorry for it, the pattern would have just kept repeating, and I would have just kept getting frustrated. Anyways, he tried to apologize for something a week or two ago, and he missed the point completely. And so it really didn't change my view on anything. I may email him and explain what the issues are, but I haven't got around to that. By the way, it's after 4 o'clock in the morning. I stayed up all night last night and just working on this website. And so the issue with the pastor that fell through. And then, so at this website, there was this person that, I guess, to go back last night, I tried calling my mom. I was upset, just because I'm just really frustrated with life that I keep losing everything. My one friend committed suicide. And really the only person I did consider a friend, and then the coaching falling apart. And the very first thing she says to me, well, if you won't lose your temper in that, you ought to still been coaching. And that just threw me into a rage simply because it's always my fault. And there's never any thanks for me. There's never any appreciation for me. And working with that sports team, nobody wanted to help me, and there was a lot of work involved, and it was trying to balance a lot of things because it costs a lot of money, and not everybody could afford it, and so it's trying to balance, keeping costs in check, and some people that don't have the money are doing a little bit more where they have to pay a little bit more money, and people that have the money who could afford to do more are paying a little bit less and doing a little bit less. There's just a lot of balancing going on, and then the politics from everywhere, and nobody helping. And had it not been for me, a lot of kids, at least, probably 12, would have never got the chance to play in this particular sport. And there was just no appreciation. And so, again, it seems like with my mom, it always goes back to everything is my fault, everything's my fault. It's just very triggering, and I got to the point where, then I become really belligerent. It just gets easier. I just ended up hanging up the phone on her, and so for this past weekend, I've not checked my email. I've kept my phone off. I haven't wanted to talk to anybody. And so I've had that issue. That was borderline personality disorder. And then the other thing borderlines do is we analyze stuff. We analyze things that are written. We analyze facial gestures, tone of voice. At least I do. Others may not be as bad as what I am. I'm really bad about that. Analyzing facial gestures, body language. Does the body language match what they're saying? Are the facial expressions matching what they're saying? What they write? And somebody that had been helping me with this website stuff. They were helping me do some of the social media stuff while I played around on this website, trying to get that going. We just got conversing really well, and the one day she was like, if you want, I can help you with, like Facebook and some other things, and I'll do it free of charge and all that. And the message sounded really good, and prior to that, the messages were all friendly, and we conversed back and forth, and everything was great. And then I don't know, yesterday I guess it was, I got a message, she was done with her job, and it just seemed like everything changed, or at least I perceived it to change, where it became more formal with her. Whether that's really true, or whether that's just my perception, or whether I'm reading too much into it. But with me, then I get into this mode where I, push them away and just kind of leave it, hey, thanks. Thanks for all the work you've done. And, push them away. And that would be related to borderline personality disorder, at least with with me, I've become so detached that I just haven't wanted to deal with the emotions and that. So it's just easier to, when I perceive a difference in tone and start analyzing too much rather than have the skills to be able to deal with it differently and ask questions, it's just easier for me to push them away and walk away, and rather than be let down and disappointed. It's kind of the philosophy of it's better to leave than to be left. But anyways, my life is kind of more or less falling apart. I don't have a lot of things going for me, and it just seems like a lot of doors keep slamming in my face. But hey, I'm a great father, but that seems to be all I am. Other than that, I'm a failure. And like I told my therapist, that if I didn't have my kids, I'd be out of this world. I'd be done. And I live for one reason, and that's for them. There is no other reason to live. And I don't see things getting better, and I think my therapist gets that. And not everything can be fixed. Some people get cancer and they respond to treatment. Other people don't. And I'm just one that I think I'm too damaged. I'm mentally tired and physically tired, and even the YouTube channel is more or less a failure. And so that's pretty much where I am. Some borderline things that have been going on, some major depression, some anxiety. I've done this video, it's probably running about 20 minutes now, and people, if they do see this video, they will probably only watch about a minute of it, and I probably won't have 50 views until sometime in January. And so this is more or less a failure too. And so if I'm good at anything other than raising my kids, it'd be good at failing. I can't think of anything I'm really good at. I can't think of anything I can succeed at. So I'm good at raising my kids, and I'm good at failing. Those are, I'm just kind of a fucked up, shitty, useless, worthless person. And that's the way it is. I'm not going to say leave comments or messages or subscribe, because it doesn't do me a goddamn bit of good. For all I care, you can unsubscribe to the channel, because I really just don't care anymore. So if you did make it through this whole video, thank you. And that's all I got to say.